afternoon. I'm coming once again with ACDA Hour. Today, we will be looking at women in agriculture. And my guest is none other than Professor Pat Francis from the University of Guyana. Now, Professor Francis, as far as I know, approximately 40 plus 45 years or so in agriculture. So there is virtually nothing that we have practiced here in Guyana that Professor Francis is not aware of. You know, she may not be the expert in all areas, but she is. She is definitely familiar with many of the practices we have been involved in agriculture in this country. No, she didn't just become a professor overnight, but this was because of our dedication to the field we are now calling our professor. So with that, Professor has promised to give us a discourse on agriculture, women in agriculture, and the possibilities available, how to optimize your gains from agriculture. So with that, I will let Professor take center stage and take it from there.
Thank you very much, Elton. Good afternoon, everyone. I was hoping to hide behind two or more other presenters, but it seems as though I am the only one up on the docket here this afternoon.
No, well, let me tell you, those presenters have decided that they want to do a full themselves. So we will have this discourse on women in agriculture will go on. It's not a one-day show.
Okay. This topic I recall tackling way back in the 80s, women in agriculture, and it is still a topic that we have to talk about today because the women are 50% or more of the population, and a large section of our population is involved in agriculture. The thing is that many people think when you speak of agriculture, you're speaking about farming crops. That is a very narrow view of agriculture. Agriculture is a very wide field involving many disciplines and operating at many different levels. So almost anyone and everyone could be involved in agriculture. So you will find that agriculture attracts scientists, technologists and technicians, mothers, money managers. These are people in the banks. Women are very good money managers. And that is why I put that under that same bullet.
Not to interrupt you for the sake of interruption, you mentioned money managing men. And because of the fact that we are now faced with the possibility of that grant, that one-off grant, I think it's an apt situation to look at this money management in terms, should our women manage that money when it comes? I'd like you to also look at that, my dear professor.
Yes, sure. It's uppermost in my mind. Women are involved in primary production, whether it be in the field, looking after crops or livestock. They are processors. Some of them are involved in agro-processing of all a range of different things. Some women are involved in processing other, extracting other commodities out of whatever it is that is grown. For example, I was looking at a video not so long ago on pineapples, where women are extracting the fibers from pineapple leaves and making it into shoes. So women are involved in all aspects of processing. It is not only jams and jellies and that sweets and that sort of thing. Women are extracting oils and incorporating it into various products. Women are marketers, whether they are planning, forecasting, or they're actually selling in the markets or in the supermarkets. They own shops, whether they're selling in the arcade or wherever they are. Women are, I remember many, many women traveling from the East Coast and taking produce all the way up to what we used to call Mackenzie in the old days, which is now called Linden. And that still occurs today. Of course, now they don't take the RH car, they take the Linden Soesdijk Highway. Women are politicians involved in different aspects of policy with regard to agriculture. They are other legislators. Women are involved in agriculture in various ways. So I don't want, I want the audience to think about agriculture as a very broad field in which women are making their contribution to the country through agriculture. And in some cases, all of these and more are wrapped up in one woman doing all of this stuff. Now, over time, I've come to realize that in a household, women have a very significant role to play in terms of managing their budget, because they're the ones who have to purchase the food, ensure it's of good quality, and look after the nutrition of the family. At the same time, they have a business in agriculture, regardless of what else they're doing. And I am using the old-time rule of setting aside a minimum of 10% of your net income or any money you earn for development of your business, of your agricultural business. Now, it could be 10% of $1 million, 10% of 100,000. When you set this money aside, it is only for the development of the business. It is not even to capitalize on the business. It's not to move the business from from like making 10 shoes to making 100 shoes. It is setting aside this money because something that is it's omitted a lot from business, whether it's run by women or other people in agriculture. It is that people do not set aside money for research and development. It is they leave research and development to somebody else. And someone else needs to pay for this research. Now, let us say you are producing quinches. There is a large market for quinches locally as well as in other countries where Guyanese and other people live. The problem, though, is that it spoils quickly because of the components of the quinches. Now, who is supposed to do this work? How will someone know that this is a problem and that this is a problem that should be given priority? So I am saying that when you set aside this money for research and development, you don't have to do it yourself, but you can contribute to the development, to the research and development, which has to go on. So you will go to whichever organization or persons doing research and development and say to them that, look, this is what I need. This is what we need. And you say, well, look, we have X dollars to put towards this project. That will encourage the researchers to give priority, or even the government to give, government agencies to give priority to what it is that you need. Because you have a need, you may even know the need, but you say, you know, we have this need, and then you say that to an agency, and they will say, well, there are like a ton of other needs, and how will we prioritize your need? So what I'm proposing here is that women become more self-reliant, either through working with their cooperatives or whatever organization, or just other persons in the same field. So for example, the people in quinches, you don't even have to have an organization. You just know the people who are making quinches and talk to them and say, look, you know, we got this problem and there's this market, and let us see what we can do. And even if you don't have too much money, but you go into these organizations as a group, you will gain more traction than if you just sitting there and waiting on organizations to know your need and prioritize your need. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is upgrading your business. Now, agriculture is very prone to all sorts of climate problems. And some of them are not even climate problems, some are just neglect. And some of them some of the problems occur through ignorance, or just not paying attention to things as they should. For example, a sluice gate or coca gate broke away there a few days ago, somewhere up in region 5, and that water, it was high tide, and that water that was coming in there was enormous, with an enormous force. And all the people there were saying, look, our homes are going to be flooded, our farms are going to be flooded, etc., etc. Now, this is not the first time that a sluice door or coca door has given way. And so women suffer a lot when this sort of thing happens. Well, everybody suffers, but women suffer a lot. So women always have to look for smart solutions before something happens. Women can discern that, look, this, and especially if it has happened before. Now, some of these smart solutions will include recommendations which have been made by various agencies, including the UN, through various organizations in Guyana. One of them is to have your raised beds, operate on raised beds. Do not plant on the ground. Bring your beds up to height, especially if you're on the coast here. Bring your beds up to at least what I found is a 2-block height or 3-block height is works. So chickens, a lot of women rear chickens, whether they rear them on a small scale or they're rearing them on a large scale. The smart way to rear them would be at least 4 feet off the ground. At least 4 feet off the ground. No, even more, another smart solution would be now to rear your chickens on the slatted floors. Now, the slatted floors are available online. There's no place in Guyana that you can purchase this slatted floor, but I have seen one place in Guyana with it, and I'm hearing people talking more and more about it now. And this would help you with many things. It helps you with keeping your pen cool. I saw someone recently online talking about out of 100 birds, he had lost about 35 at that time, and they were big birds, like about 5 weeks old. And the problem there, in the chat, I saw a person saying, but those birds are too hot. Can't you see that? No, that is not a smart way to raise birds. It might be a cheap way, but it's not smart. You have to raise up that pen. Birds need maximum airflow. Raise that pen floor off the ground, 4 feet off the ground. And if possible, put in the slatted floor. That would be a smart way. Also, pigs, the slatted floors of pigs are available in Guyana, and I would recommend that very much. So the shade house technology.
Professor, can I
Yes.
interrupt? Can you explain what is slatted floors? Because some of our listeners may not quite follow you.
Okay. The slatted floor is flooring that has holes in it. It has solid parts and holes over the whole floor, but the chicken's foot or the pig's foot cannot pass through the slots. Only the fecal matter will pass through the slots. It is also small enough to keep the shaving or whatever other material you're using as bedding for the chickens from falling through the slots. So I don't know if you could imagine like a chicken wire. The chicken wire it has solid parts and it has holes. Those are the slots. Now, in the slotted floor for chickens, it wouldn't have the wire effect, but it would have a smooth surface, and it would be strong enough for you to walk on. So I have actually walked on these things, so I can tell you for sure that it works. And it also reduces the buildup of ammonia, and it gets rid of many, many problems, including looking for bedding material, which is becoming more and more difficult and more expensive to acquire. So that is what this slatted floor is about. I don't know if that is a good enough explanation.
Well, it's reasonable because we are talking of a floor which has openings that some materials can pass through.
Yes.
Like for pigs, you can be able to wash your pens
Yes.
easier. So
Yes.
the fecal matter, urine will be washed away while the pigs can stand. They will not be standing in wet or
Right.
mushy situation.
Right. And still, you'll be able to collect the fecal matter, which you will then use in your on your
Manure.
farm, on the farm, on the crop farm. You see, so nothing is really being lost there. It's the same thing with the chickens. So those are, and it is, I saw a woman up on the East Coast, not very far, I think it's at Vigilance, somewhere around that area. One woman was managing about, I would say like 30 or 40 sows, a 30 or 40 sow unit, one woman, and she could get everything done in a very short period of time because she has automated the feeding, and then the cleaning now is no longer onerous, you see. So she alone can manage that whole operation there by herself. Looking after the piglets was very easy because now they're not as sick, they don't get as sick as they used to because they are not on any wet, they don't the concrete, and also to give them their shots and all of that is easier. So when I saw it, I said that this is a very good climate smart solution. This is an upgrade. I haven't seen it anywhere else. I've seen slatted floors of pigs with wooden slats and slots. So the slats are like 2 inches wide, and then the slot is like about 1/2 inch wide. I've seen that. But still, with the wood, you still have issues with the washing and so. With the plastic, I don't know if I said before, these floors are out of a plastic material. So it really helps a lot. It's a real upgrade. And I can tell you for sure, I know it works. And it's working right here in Guyana. Not many people have it, but I think it's very good for women, because we don't need to do extra work. We still have to go and look after the children. We still have to work otherwise, and so on. We might be community leaders and all of that. So we've still got other things to do. I want to just spend a small amount of time talking about buying quality inputs and equipment. Now, this is a problematic. Some people think that when the product is not up to the standard for the market, for the consumer, that then these are the lower quality produce which can go into processing. Now, this is not a bad idea, providing it is not spoiling. Because if you introduce products which have spoilage, we already have various microorganisms associated with it, you're introducing problems into your product line, which will show up later. So you need to buy quality inputs. Everything must have quality inputs, everything, whether it be sugar, if salt, if it has milk, whatever, all of these things must have quality. And your equipment. Now, I can tell you about a couple of things, but one is a lot of people are doing juices, and this home blenders are not equipped to take on that pressure of large quantities on a regular basis of fruits and vegetables. So you need to get an industrial blender. Now, these blenders are available in Guyana, but if you don't want to be bothered too much about, you want to look at the price and all of that, you can go online and check for the price. And these things can be brought into Guyana very quickly. Make sure you get quality equipment. You don't want things that are going to break down on you, and you buy a stove and in the middle of the cooking, in the middle of the baking, it's breaking down and all of that. You don't need that. You don't need that. So look for the brands, look for quality brands. Now, let's say you have to buy a pressure cooker. I'm not going to call any brands here, but find out which is a reliable brand of pressure cooker. You have very large volume pressure cookers that you need for blanching and sterilizing and that sort of thing. So buy quality. You need it to last for a long time. And while I'm on that, there are some pieces of equipment that people do not pay attention to at all. These are very simple things like thermometers, things to measure viscosity. How thick the thing is. Now, if you're going to be making a syrup or some kind of sauce or something, there's a certain thickness that this thing must be at. And you shouldn't be just doing the ballpark. The ballpark is good for home use, but once you're going to put your product into the marketplace, it needs to have consistency. So there's certain equipment, certain small pieces of equipment that you need to buy. And one of them is a thermometer. Now, if you have, there are thermometers of different sizes, depending upon where you have to take the temperature, and as well as the product, whether it is pork or chicken or whatever it is you're doing. And there's some other small equipment that you need. I borrowed a thermometer from Mrs. Stratz, and that helped me quite a lot to take the temperature of the compost, because you have to compost your manure. You can't put that compost on your plants, it will burn them down. So that equipment there, it's not expensive. It will help you to know when the compost is ready. And that takes a lot of trouble off of you. Now, Mr. McCrae will tell you that we have introduced a composter into our project to sustainable agriculture for youths and households. These are small equipment, 45-gallon volume that is used to make the work easier. And women need the work to be made easier because a woman may be pregnant, a woman may be have a baby, a woman may not be able to bend too much. And so all of these things are useful to making the work of women lighter while improving her productivity, the productivity of the business. You might not be able to find a young man or a male to come and help you. And even if you find, you have to pay. So all of this you have to take into consideration when you're setting up whatever business it is you're setting up. So the other thing that I want to say is that women need to be on the lookout for new or improved technologies to improve their business. You have to be looking out for this technology all the time. Where will you find this technology? There's a lot of technology out there, a lot. The internet, everyone has a phone. It's a powerful instrument. Go on the internet and just type in whatever it is you're doing, and you will see the algorithm will bring up many, many more things like that. And from all around the world, it will bring up things and show you and give you ideas and also tell you where you can buy these things and all of that. Use the internet. Also, the internet is very good for teleconferencing like we're doing here, or I call it tele-agriculture. So if you have a problem, you can call me and have a FaceTime with me, show me the problem, so I don't have to come to you. I can see what the problem is. Maybe I can't even solve the problem. I will see the problem and know perhaps someone who could help solve the problem. So women need to use the internet very much. And I think everybody knows how to get onto the internet. And even if you're in a place that doesn't have internet, you need to always have some mobile data, some data on your phone so that you can get on to different places, at your leisure. Now, the other thing that I find is a problem for everybody, including women, is that many organizations that are set up to help you do not help you as well as you would like. So my advice is to write to them. Write to them, send them an email. Now maybe they chuck your email aside, huh? Because everybody's sending emails. So I still say write to them. Pen and paper, write to them. And visit them. If you don't hear from them, do not give up, visit them. No, when you visit them, it is good if you visit them in groups. 2 or 3 of you make an appointment and visit them. They'll know that you're serious about whatever it is you're talking about. Now, there are many organizations in Guyana that are set up to help farmers, processors, etc. They include NARI, Ministry of Agriculture in general, The Small Business Bureau, get on board with the Small Business Bureau. The Guyana Marketing Corporation, get their internet access point, know their names, know who to call, and so on. You know, sometimes when you go on to these places, they say press 1 for this, press 2 for that, etc., etc. And then they have music playing and they have you there waiting. But they ask you, do you know who you would like to get in touch with? And do you know their extension? So these are things that you have to overcome. You have to know, get in the know. The Guyana School of Agriculture. Cardi. The Cardi is right in the compound there at Nari compound. The University of Guyana. We want to see more people coming into the University of Guyana and interfacing with the faculties. Each faculty has the capacity to solve many, many, many problems. And I don't see people coming in there as they should, you know. It is your university. It is not outside of the possibilities of you taking a bus and going in there and just go and talk to somebody. These are normal people just like everybody else. Just come in there and say you want to talk to the head of Department of Agriculture. They have to listen to you, and they will. And you tell them your problem, and then ask them for a solution and tie them down to time. Then you have the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations. And then you have a whole set of other organizations, including cooperatives. I tell you the truth, people do not know the power of cooperatives, but I trust that as time goes by, more and more people would do that. Now I'm coming to the end here, where women usually visit markets, supermarkets, but a lot of women do not visit trade shows and exhibitions. Now, these trade shows and exhibitions can be in Guyana, or they can be in the Caribbean, or they can be in other places. Trade shows such as the ones held in Barbados, exhibitions that are held all over the world, including Guyana. These are the places where you see where new things and improved things are on show. We just had one there at UG where we were exhibiting our innovations, which we have been doing over a period of time. When you hear these things announced, make it your business to go and see what new. Do not wait for someone to tell you that, look, we got a new something. You can just make the excursion. Just get together with your colleagues, your friends, and plan an excursion to visit various facilities here in Guyana. You just got to make the arrangement, and you can have an excursion going from place to place. And then you could extend that to places like Suriname or Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and so on. So you're having fun while you're seeing what is going on. How are you going to be able to do this? You would have to do it through one of those organizations that I mentioned in the previous slide, so that you can make contact with the people who will organize these things for you. You can do this in person, or all of this can be done online. Most of these trade shows and exhibitions are online. So that is all I want to say for now. I mean, there's a lot more that could be said, but I just want to close there for now. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor. And uh, now, Professor went through a series of uh, possibilities that women can become involved in with. She showed how you can access knowledge, information. She showed how you can, the mechanisms necessary to get your production to up to par to meet the market. Like she mentioned, the started floors. She mentioned how the use of proper equipment, cleaning of your equipment, and so on, right? To be sure that you do not contaminate your products, right? She made so now uh those of you who may have joined late may not be pretty sure of what she said, but I'm pretty sure if you have a question, she will still be able to, even though she may have gone into it before, she may be willing to respond. Professor touched on an area which she mentioned about the composter that I might be able to expand on. I was actually trying while she was in her discourse, trying to get a video or at least a photograph of the composter that she mentioned. But I've not been successful. I've got a video, but the video is want to how to construct it, and that's not really what we need. We need to see the product and how it's working. I will try before the end of the discourse to bring up a video on that. But one thing Professor also mentioned that I would like to get into is that you need to consult with people not only in terms of the in terms of the technology, and that will include the fabricators also, because you may need something. It's not always that it's good to buy from overseas, but we have one issue there that we generally come into when we buy from overseas, is that there is no one to guide you through the ins and outs of the equipment many a times. And we just park them when we get the first stumbling block we come into. I have visited many farms and you see pieces of equipment. When these small walk behind tillers first came into the country, you could have, people bought them, but many people didn't understand the capacities and so on. They tried using them, and 2 days after, they just throw them in a corner. But now we see, because of the knowledge that is available, people are using them. We have local technicians who can help assist with those walk behind tractors. Also, excuse me. The thing is, we have local fabricators that are doing things that can assist. We can have a mill made locally, and so you need to speak to the people who are involved in areas that you think might be able to help you as much as possible. If there's anyone with a question, you can show by raising your hands, or I have one question for the professor now. You spoke about managing 30 or 40 business. If that lady did not have the kind of aids that you saw on our farm, what it would have entailed, how many other persons she would have be required to assist her in the management of that farm?
Okay, from my knowledge of how, swine operations go, she would have needed at least 4 to 5 other persons to manage that operation.
By automating our feeding, and having the slotted floors and so on, you see,
and
she has
yes,
been able to reduce our cost of operation, because
yes,
employing 3 or 4 other persons there with her would have been a cost that she would have had to be bearing.
Yes, a major cost, a major cost, a major cost. So I didn't touch very much on what a person could do with a small amount of money. I considered $100,000 a small amount of money, but at any rate, it is still money. But let us say a person wanted to get into the swine operation and they are now starting up. One of the things that I would recommend very strongly is that you use artificial insemination, which that farm also uses and also provides a service. You see, because if you have to keep a boar, a male animal, for servicing, that animal has to be kept all the time. And it's a major cost. And if you only have 1 or 2 sows, then it is uneconomical. Also, with the artificial insemination, you can get the best quality semen at just the click of a finger. So that would be another thing that they did there that I thought
technology
that
is
technology.
important. We have
Yes.
to look at the technologies available.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Professor, this is not the technology. Maybe some of the persons online may not know your face. So can you show?
Oh, okay. Because I was, let me see if I could show my face. So 1 second. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I look like.
So this is our professor. So I was saying earlier, in the event that anyone wants to raise a question that or based on the discussion that Professor led, you're free to do so by you can show your hands. In the meanwhile, I will bring another question to the professor. I know you're a specialist in animal husbandry, so I will keep to that for a while. Now, you mentioned about research, and so what is the level of research that we are doing in this country with regards to developing herds?
You're talking about breeding.
Breeding, yeah.
Okay. No, as far as I understand how everything is running here, we have retrogressed actually. We should have been, because in the 80s, we were already at the point, 80s and the early 90s, we were already at the point where we are now, which is the production of eggs from the breeding stock, parent stock that we imported. We are back there now in some places. We had tried to do the grandparent stock. I don't know if you recall it, in Temeri some years ago, but I don't think people really understood the kind of quality assurance that had to go along with that. So that became a problem. But I am not at all confident that we are doing sufficient work on breeding of chickens. We are not. We are, however, doing some work on the breeding of ducks, even though that too, we should have been far, far ahead, because I remember graduating from UG, And the Chinese brought the first set of ducks, breeding ducks into Guyana. I was the manager there at the farm. And we had really made strides moving forward with producing hybrids of various ducks. And I don't know how we keep going around in circles, but we're not doing as well as we should. That is the long and short. We're not.
Okay.
The thing that bothers me the most is that the farmers are taking eggs from their place into what is the pristine place there in Moripo, the breeding place. And that should never be. If they're still doing it, they must stop. They must stop. But to the farmers, I say, people who want to do their own, who need to get their eggs incubated, just buy an incubator. They have all sizes of incubators. As a matter of fact, I made one myself with some students at UG. And just get your incubator at your own house and do your own selection. The people in Moripo, Dr. Austin and them, they're very good at that. They could help you with the training and just make a move on that. I think a few people have already started buying in these incubators, but even at the school level, every school should have a desktop incubator. And so these things, they have different sizes for 12 eggs, right up to any number that you want. Yes.
I was in Kanji and I saw a young man who had built an incubator, and he was for the heat source, he used batteries to warm up, to keep the system warm.
Yes. Well, the thing is that at UG, we had pulled together an incubator that was working off of solar or propane. Now we are looking to move to an incubator that will work off of cleaned up methane, which will come off of the farm itself in an integrated system. So the future is up to the producers and the scientists. They're got to get their act together. Those sets of people.
Yes, so in terms of research, you also you focus somewhat on the need for the producer, the farmer, to become involved to put aside that 10% of their income for research. Can you expand on that?
Okay. Now, the farmers and the processors and other producers in agriculture, I don't think they don't think about research much. They think that research belongs to people at UG and at NARI and all of that and so on. So they just leave it there. But what research requires a lot of money. Research requires a lot of inputs. And what I would like to see is farmer-led or stimuli catalyzed, farmers and processors and so on, catalyzing the kind of research that they want to happen that is in their own best interest. And this, of course, is best done through their organizations. So if they put aside the 10% of their net towards R&D, then they can approach organizations and the government to put the remainder. But at least there would be, it would be coming from the bottom up rather than from the top down. So Even the farmers could say to the processors, and other people can say to the university, look, these are the problems that we have. Could you put some people onto this? Could you help us with a solution? But then they're coming to the table with something. They're coming to the table with some money. With some money. Money moves a lot of mountains, you know. The other things that farmers can do and processors is make their facilities available for the work to go on. So, and make it a priority. This is not a new system. This thing happens all around the world. But in big organizations, they, like, I don't want to call any, but they have places in Guyana where a lot of processing and so is going on. They put aside money for their own R&D. They don't go to anybody. They might come to the university, and some of them do, and say, could you put some students on to look at this aspect of our work? And then we say, well, could you put some money to it? Because we don't have the money. And then they say, yes, we'll put the money to it, and we'll give you all of our equipment and everything. So I'm saying that the people, the smaller persons, persons with not as much resources, can do the same, and they can do this through their cooperatives or their organizations, or just 2 or 3 of them coming together and approaching. Maybe the university or NARI or so on will then write a project to facilitate the work. So that is how I'm thinking. I mean, for example, as Elton, as you know, we have set up a model climate smart facility in Mocha in 10 households. And we included the composter, because you got to be able to return nutrients to the soil, the raised beds, the water harvesting, and we pull all of that into one package. And then we say to the processor or to the householder, well, what are you going to put on? And then they start to expand and put on additional beds, processing. So for example, you do a whole bed now, or 2 beds of pak choy or so. You need to take it to market. You need to blanch it. So then you start moving the whole business forward. So it's like that. It's like that. But then you see, in this case, we got a little funding, and then we beg everybody else for something. But the farmers themselves, or the households themselves, which included a lot of women and youths, they themselves now got to come up and should be able to come and say, look, how can we move this thing forward? What can we do? You know, they might not even know how to move it forward, but people with whom they consult may be able to advise how to move the whole process forward.
Okay, thank you for that response. I will show I think I have a photo of the tumbler we speak of, and I will present it in a few minutes. I'm having it mounted so we can see it. In the meanwhile, maybe you can
see, we have 8 people online, but I can't.
Yes.
I'm only.
Well, actually, you have 7 people online because I'm there twice.
Okay, so I don't know if any person here
Yes, I have a question. I'd
have a
ask that, but
question or a
I've not,
comment,
there's no
or,
takers yet.
how we could, help to empower or how households. Now, for example, with the $100,000, I have already taken out 10%, then 90% remains. And I think that each person who receives that money should consult with someone who is in their field, who is in that field in which they are operating, to tell them or to advise them on what are the best or some of the options to utilize that money so that that money can be multiplied. So for example, this tumbler here, how much this thing cost, Eldon? I can't even remember.
It's just about 33, I think, or 35,000.
35,000? Yes.
The bar, because you have to buy the bars from the persons locally. Then we use green art. Now, this here, as you see, the position that we have it there, it allows for a wheelbarrow to enter so you can tilt, you can dump the composted material into a wheelbarrow at the end of the day. Now, you see it's pivoted on this point, and as you fill it, you can rotate it to have a mixing of the materials that are being composted. As you add your kitchen waste on it, that is cuttings of your borer, cuttings from your kalu stems, whatever it is, even grass from your garden, you add to that, and it will rot and compost. But you need to mix it. It's aerated so that there's, and as Professor mentioned, the temperature at which it's being kept, we need to control that temperature and so on. But basically, that's the composter.
Yeah, well, we have used these composters. We have given them out to 10 households, and we will be monitoring them to see, how they're using them and the efficiency of it and all of that. So that would be one thing that I think every household should have a composter, really, because every household generates waste, every household. And there's much that we can do to reduce our cost of living, much that we need to do. So I recommend it highly. There's some other equipment that I talked about, the blender. That is something that people need to invest in. Cooperative could invest in a labeling machine, because this has become quite a difficulty for many people, doing it you just need a few labels, you need 100, 200 and so on. It carries up your costs of production significantly, and there are lots of things that people can advise you to do. Another thing that people don't like to do at all is keep records. People don't like keeping records. Small producers don't like keeping records at all. And so I believe that a system of record keeping that is easy and automated really needs to be in place. It's like your taxes. People don't like doing taxes. So that is why we have people who do taxes.
I see, is it Bernice there or Raymond? And would you, or Sister, who is that? I'm not hearing you. Your mic is muted or something. Please unmute your mic. Sam, the person with the Samsung.
Right.
Yes, sister.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We are hearing you.
All right. Right. So I tuned in late. I missed Professor's presentation from the top. In fact, I got in at the bottom because you had to install the updates onto. But I thought it was it's a good thing. It's a good place a good thing to discuss swine production because the meat market is a viable market. It's always buoyant. It's mostly buoyant. Most people are meat eaters. And so it's a good place to go. And I like the size that I heard, 20 to 30 sow unit. You're talking good, sensible money there. However, I'm wondering at getting there in terms of the investment required, or to what extent we can organize to get there.
I think with the small investor, the possibility of getting to that 30, 40 sow unit is through cooperatives. We have to start trusting each other again.
Well, what I was going to ask, what is your name, ma'am? Can't be Samsung.
Bernie Struts.
Barney's, Barney's, you looking different.
It is I, and certainly not Samsung.
Yeah, you looking different. Anyway, what I'm thinking is, I know Bernice is asking this question for someone else. But if a person wants to get into the business, all they really need to do is to give me a call, and I will put them in touch with the producer, who is actually a scientist, you know, and who provides that service in terms of the quantities and how much money and the design, and even bringing the slatted floor for you and everything. So, and it's a system that you can add on. You can start with maybe a 5 sow, and then you add on to it because it comes in
a modular system.
Yes, he told me it comes in units of 2. So if anyone is interested, that is the easy hookup.
What does the startup figure look like?
No, the startup figure is not 30 sows.
No, I mean in terms of cost.
No, that is what I'm telling you. I don't know what is the number, but the startup number of sows is not 30. They started at a smaller number and moved up to 30.
Oh, great.
And right now they're moving up to 100.
Well, then the meat market must be very good.
So whoever is interested, don't let me give you numbers off the top of my head. Let me put them in. It's not going to be 100,000. That's no money.
Amen.
You know. For that
but I'm saying the people with the 100,000, they can they can band themselves into a cooperative to do that.
I agree. But you talked about the trust issue. So I don't know. I am not a social scientist. I ain't going down that road. So what I would say though is that the marketing, I find that many people are not unwilling to come together to do marketing. That is what I find. But as far as the rearing and so, they want to have their own
Production.
thing. Yes, they want to have their own thing. So they, and I tell you something, the nice thing about that operation, it is that it wasn't more pretty. I don't have the pictures here to show you. It wasn't more than like an area like a 100 by 30 or it wasn't even that big. That size of land that these things are on. It was very compact, and also the smell was minimal, because I was up and down in there. You couldn't tell really that you had all of those pigs up in there.
With that kind of with a slotted floor system, it's easier to get into things like biodigesters and all kind because everything is drained.
Yes,
you know.
yes, yes,
You know.
yes. So, Bernice, if you have somebody who is interested, please put them on to me, and I will hook them up right away with the guy's name is Forrest.
Okay.
I'll hook you up with him immediately. Hook the
All right.
person up with him. The other thing though is that to get I'm sure he will take them or they will go and see the facility. But in order for him to do the estimate and all of that, they gotta pay. You understand? Not free.
Absolutely.
So that's why I told people from the jump that they gotta put aside money for R&D. They gotta put aside money. You know, it's like when you're building a house, you know that you got to put aside money for the plan. You got to put aside money for the estimate. All these things. It's not just the house alone going up.
Well, you're asked in the first instance to do your foundation.
Well, all right. So when people are coming, the mindset in agriculture has got to become more expanded. You know, you want to set up this poultry, don't turn up and think that, well, you can just get it done for free. It cannot be done for free. You got to put some money behind it. So, you know, you got to put aside money for these things. No one would go to a person to get a plan for a house with no money. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Sister Shioma Griffith, do you have any questions or any comments?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am very happy to be on the program to really understand what's happening. And from the audience alone, I'm seeing that people make time for what they need. With everything that is going on, food is like oxygen. It's essential. And
Mr. Griffith, can you show your face?
No,
You're not an ugly person.
I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to wait until my time comes with my presentation. Everything has its time. Sorry about that. So I'm saying what we put in, that's what we get out. And for you to give the best in anything that you're doing, you have to enjoy that thing. Now, for me, I had my corporate job and everything, but agriculture is my passion. Most people do not go beyond what they were being told or what they would have read. They don't go into any exploration whatsoever. And these are some of the things that is causing us to be where we are. I have 3 projects that I'm launching. Well, 2 is already there. One is the pharmacy, which is the FARMA, and then the C is from my name. The other one is Farm Hers, FARMHERS, women farmers. I'm not offending the males here, but I think women are very meticulous when it comes to certain things. So investing in women is like you're investing in a whole village. Because when you invest in women, they're not only coming with themselves, but their families, their friends, and their communities. I am doing simple things. I challenge myself, and Mr. McCray can tell you. I have approximately like 350 dragon fruit plants, and I got it from 3 plants. And I keep propagating, and I tried my best every week to plant at least 100 seeds. When I go to someone, I don't give them monies or fragrances. I give them a plant. And I call them 2 weeks after, and I say to them, how is the plant going? It died. I said, okay, thank you. Have a good day. They call me back. What happened? I said, did you eat for the 2 weeks? Yes. I said, did you have a shower? Yes. I said, that's all. Have a good day. Because, I'm giving you something that all it needs is nurturing. And you don't even want to go that level. I'm tired hearing persons, food is expensive. You know what you have to start doing? Growing your food and bartering it with your neighbors. I pulled 20 pounds of ginger out of 4 tires 3 weeks ago in my yard. My moringa trees are all in tires. I'm picking moringa, I'm making moringa powder. I'm doing a lot. Now, I have no problems whatsoever in training and giving persons, but I don't want persons to waste my time. Because if it's the most precious gift you can give to someone, if I'm going to stand there to give what it's in me, I expect to see results in the end. And by doing this, I heard Professor Francis said record keeping. Well, I did Global Gap, and I also was privileged to bring in Michigan State University to do Global Gap with 30 persons, 11 technocrats, and I did 17 farmers from all over. And the reason why I did the technocrats from under the Ministry of Agriculture is because when they go out in the fields, they would be able to go at a slower pace on a longer version of what was being trained to them, what they would have learned. Because I could not have brought 100 farmers to Georgetown from all walks. So I'm thinking that the technocrats and the field officers would have been able to do that. Every time I'm seeing we have an agriculture export, I go back into something. How many containers leave Guyana with what? Nothing. Why are we spending all that money and then nothing? Now, I have simple techniques that I deal with. Oh, we need a shade house. No, you don't. I take my plastic bottles, I cut them in half, I leave a little diameter of 2 centimeters. I put my seeds, I germinate them, I cover it back like that. When the seeds start germinating, I go and I clip off the rest of the bottle. Boom, I have the plant. And by doing so, I'm using plastic bottles as a double project. Reducing and recycling in society. Because of the fact that, see, trays, I don't like to put people in unnecessary expense. The bottles are there, they're in the drains, it's causing flood. Just get them, cut them, bore them, put your soil. Of course, manure has ammonia inside. 7 days, you keep cleaning the manure in the bottles, then you're ready to put down your seeds. Most farmers you go, you ask them, how long does it take for germination to produce for Bora, for Karila? They don't know. Now, I like to do stuff like this. If I'm going to give out seeds, I give everybody the seeds the same time. I call you and I said, listen, Sunday, everybody's going to put on the seeds. That is the seed. After 7 days, you have to send me a photo of what the plant looks like, and you keep that record. 14 days. After that, I know who's taking care of it, and I understand also what soil is best for what. Now, seed pantries and produce hubs are very important. Now, we can go ahead and give every household in community 60 seeds, but we can ask you to do something. Have your compost heaps, or if you have a good pepper stuff, you take your time with training you how to take out the seeds of the pepper. You're having the best of both worlds. You're having that seed for planting again, and you're still having your peppers. Now, if you put those together, anybody in communities should not be seen at markets if they're farmers in your communities. You must be able, and I didn't want to do part of my presentation today. I wanted to get the audience, but I'm going to
I wasn't expecting you to do your presentation today.
Oh, your presentation is not today. I got a goal too.
Okay.
Up
Well,
already.
you know,
In fact, we
record-
are running over program time.
okay, well, I just had a little to say, and I'm going to wait my turn, just like the sun and the moon. Thank you.
Yeah. I just want to say, I look forward to the presentation whenever it's going to be done, because there's always something good and new and important to learn. I have always been looking for different ways to stimulate people to be involved. It's not an easy business. I've been in this business a long time. Not an easy business. But what I've found is that the more recent initiative is bearing fruit. When I say the more recent initiative is a many-year initiative. And that Bernice knows about how many years you've been behind that. But it's bearing fruit. And so if we can see what else could work, what else could work in terms of livelihoods, especially in the African community, it would be good. I look forward to the presentation.
Before we close, I see Brother Colin Westmoreland is there. Any comments, brother? I know you came in late. And Brother Raymond Trucks.
Unless it's Sister Bernice using the same Raymond's.
Yeah, that it's Bernice, no Raymond.
Yes, I figured that it's Bernice.
No, no comments from Colin Westman. I just wanna sit down and find out what is going on and listen to what is happening. No comments whatsoever.
Okay. So with that, I think we can close if Brother Raymond is not going to make a comment because Bernice has spoken for him also.
I don't think he's in the room.
Bernice has spoken for Bernice.
Bernice talking for Bernice. That's
Okay then. I thank you all for being. I'm sorry that we could not have gone live on Facebook, but I promise next week, the next program will be live on Facebook as per norm. I don't know what happened today. And I will have this posted before the evening out so that the Facebook people can follow it. It will be there on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much for participating. And with that, I'll return to Eddie Grant for our closing. You know, he says that we are living on the front line.